right, let's get right to it with our friend basketball-brained Brenden Whitted, who joins us on the Adam Gold Show. And two reasons I reached out. One is because, his Tar Heels haven't won a ton this year, and they put one on NC State last night. So I wanted to give him at least the floor to feel good about UNC after last night's utter beat 'em down. That was cathartic, wasn't it?
It really feels good to have you on after a Tar Heels win. It's been so infrequent this season. So this was a wonderful, watching them play, the way they got up early, knocking down threes. If they shoot like that, I'm just saying, but watch out. Just maybe watch out.
Really? You think?
No.
How much of what we saw last night are you taking to the final Saturday of the regular season?
It was all smoke show. That had more to do with State being bad. That was pretty good, but I will 100% take it. Look, after that beatdown we got from Duke, I need all of the love that I can get, all the love and affection, so I can send those text messages to all my State friends and be like, "Ha, well, you see the game? You see, I haven't had the chance to do a lot of those texts this year, so I'm taking full advantage, being a full narcissist when it comes to this, 100%.
Brenden Whitted is joining us here. Real quick about the game last night. I think there is potential on this team. I think the potential is very limited because of their obvious deficiencies inside, around the rim. It's still, I said this earlier, it's the most anemic rebounding UNC team of my lifetime. I can't recall them ever being this absolute mediocre. Would be great if they were mediocre. They're just not good at all. But I thought last night was, to me, we could talk about, Jalen Withers had a good game. Van Allen Lubin scored, I think, every point in the first 5 minutes of the second half. I thought it was like the Seth Trimble game. I thought Trimble was great on both ends. I thought the way he played the game, had he been wearing a different uniform, I think the outcome might have been different because of the way I loved Seth Trimble last night.
He's been the disappointment for me this season because I thought that there was another leap that was going to happen. You see the athleticism. I thought that, and you know about the defensive, he has a ton of stuff. He rebounds really well. Has a ton of stuff you really like, but that offensive jump that I thought was coming hasn't. And I think that's been the kind of the marker on him. And you've seen all these UNC games go down these last possessions. I think they've had 10 games. In total, decided by 5 points or less, or something like that. That's the kind of small stuff where, hey, if he makes that leap, if RJ Davis doesn't go through this slump, it's the small stuff here and there on the on the perimeter that I really wanted them to be. I didn't think they were going to be particularly good in the middle, but the perimeter play hasn't been as consistent or as dominating as I like. You talked about poor rebounding. When I think about UNC, not only do I think about rebounding, I think about guards. Guards can get out, run, and set the tone, set the pace, whether it's Ed Cota you can go down to Lip Marshall or any of these other guys like Page. Any of these guys, those are the guys I look for. Davis hasn't been quite that. He's more of a scorer than a facilitator in that regard, and I really think that has hurt that offense. Because defensively, they're as lackluster as I thought they'd be. Offensively, they're not as potent.
Right. We knew the defense would struggle. The defense was good last night. I think you pointed out it's probably as much about NC State as it was UNC. But I want to give UNC credit because I think they came for a fight. They were prepared to play a rivalry game, and NC State prepared to play a basketball game against friends in the park. And that was not what turned up. That was the way I looked at NC State. I was disappointed in their lack of ability to compete last night. The other reason I wanted to reach out, I know you love the game, and by the way, got to get your reaction on. And Brenden Whitted is joining us here, one of our basketball brains. Victor Wembanyama out for the year. Yeah. Essentially a deep blood clot in his right shoulder. Now we're hoping that everything will be fine. It's not something that isn't treatable. So he should be able to be fine. It's not going to sap strength or anything like that. It is something they're going to have to monitor. So just your thoughts on the Spurs playing the rest of the year without him. And what kind of year has he had in your estimation?
They made a play to get Fox, and I think that they're even faster than they thought they'd be a contender. Like they're thinking that they're contenders. You don't make that kind of a trade unless you think that you're a contender. Fox has been one of the better clutch scorers, and so the Spurs, while they probably weren't going to make the playoffs this year, you see the change in mindset of, okay, we're going to tank. Oh, okay. No, this guy's really good, and you have Castle, and you have these younger players, Vassell. Like you have a good core, Sohan. Like those are good guys that you can build around. It sucks that he's hurt. I'm honestly the only thing. It sucks that I say this, but the first thing I thought about was Chris Bosh, like with his blood clot issue and that shortening his career. So I'm hoping, like you said, that this is a one-off, that this is not something that's going to follow him around, because he's a guy that's going to be one of the people that you think about when you talk about the NBA. Even casual fans know his name or know what he looks like. And the NBA could use more of those faces as you see the older guys, the KDs, the LeBrons, the Stephs. As they retire, you need this new crop to really yield. And I'm hoping that this is just a one-off thing.
So you get us into the next part of the conversation, Brenden, in that right now we'd all agree LeBron James is the face of the league. He's been the face of the league for 20 years. He's still the face of the league, right?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I think he's the most recognizable of everybody that's playing in that sport.
And the only other really challenger to that would be Steph, correct?
Yeah, I would think. I mean, maybe KD. You know, I mean, like, I'm in D.C., so everything is kind of through the lens of Kevin Durant here.
PG County, man.
PG County, you know how it is. So maybe you could push back on Steph being the second guy, but somewhere in there, those are the three guys.
All right, so and all three. I mean, Durant's the 36, Steph's 36, LeBron is 40. My guess is they're all going to play at least one or two more years. It blows me away that we're talking about LeBron, who is still one of the best 10 or 15 players in the league at age 40. It is ridiculous. But when these guys do cycle out, who are the next faces of the game? And it brings me, I bring to this because I know Bomani Jones was talking about it on his podcast the other day, the Right Time podcast, regarding you don't have to be an American player to be the face of the league. And that was debated, I guess, on Stephen A. said something. How can you not be an American? Like, the game is international. The best players are international, whether it's Jokic or Wembanyama or Giannis Antetokounmpo. I said the name right before. Now I can't say it. These guys are not born in America. You know, which of those players, maybe it's all three, but which of those players you think is more likely to be the face of the game?
I'm going to go off the board here, particularly with this trade. I'm going to say Luka. He's going to be in L.A. They have an opportunity. I know they lost to the mighty Hornets last night.
Doncic was bad, by the way.
Yeah, he wasn't great. He wasn't great, and LaMelo gave him that work at the top of the key when he needed when it was closing time. It was beautiful. But I think it's going to be Luka. Like just with the style in which he plays, he's in LA. Like that's everything that you need, and they're going to be title contenders. Like they're a title contending team right now. Right, whether or not they win or not, I don't know. But they're going to go to the playoffs. He's going to be in LA. He's a new acquisition, and you are literally getting the torch passed to you by the guy who is the face now. Luka has he has everything in the world to take it right now. Like it's hard for me not to see him as the guy, particularly with him in Los Angeles.
So the fact that like Tim Duncan for years was one of the best players in the league, played in San Antonio, and was largely anonymous. Is that more about San Antonio or the style that you think the Spurs played?
And Tim Duncan, right? Some guys aren't, and I would say this will stop Jokic from being that guy too. They're just not really interested in promoting the sport, being the face of. If you're not interested in it, you won't be, right? Like I think a large part of the conversation started with Anthony Edwards, right? Where he has the personality and the type of game. You also need an aesthetically pleasing type of game. Respect to Tim Duncan, but nobody's trying to watch a low post, bank shot after bank shot. Like, that ain't it. Like, I love Tim Duncan, but Kevin Garnett was my favorite. Why? Because he's Kevin Garnett. Right? Tim Duncan he doesn't have that sort of personality. San Antonio fit him perfectly for that reason. And Jokic isn't really that guy. Giannis has a little bit of some of that stuff too, right? Like, people like him. He's generally a likable guy. But is Milwaukee going to do it? Like, part of the thing that it's LeBron. It wasn't Cleveland. It was LeBron. Is that Giannis? Maybe, but you're probably going to have to leave Milwaukee at some point. And I'm not sure they're going to let him out of the building. So, I don't know if he can be the guy. I think location and personality matters just as much as how aesthetically pleasing your game is. Luka's is all offense, no defense. That sounds really, really fun to watch, and it is.
It is true. Doncic being in L.A., nobody in Boston, another high-profile team, nobody in Boston fits that bill for you, I guess the player we would be talking about here is Jason Tatum, but I don't think Jason Tatum is one of those players.
No, because, it was kind of weird when they won the title, right? Like, it was like there was just like this series of him doing other people's shticks, whether it was Kobe's shtick or LeBron's shtick, or it was like, hey, buddy, this is kind of weird. This is a little weird that this continues to happen. I don't know if he has that sort of personality either. I think he's a fantastic basketball player. I just don't know if, there's something, very real and very connecting. When Anthony Edwards gets on the microphone, I don't know what he's going to say. I have no idea what he's going to say. But it's going to be interesting. Tatum really doesn't give you that. If there were going to be a guy off Boston, it'd be Brown. Like, he is at least willing to get in front of a microphone and say something that is provocative. Now, there are some other issues with Brown being on the microphone that people will not like, and that has nothing to do with anything else other than, So that's the thing that's going to hold him back. Like, there are some people that, hey, I got something to say, you might not want to say it. Like a guy like, Kyrie Irving, like you saw even him in the very little bit of time that he's been kind of on this national platform, he will say something like, whoa, buddy. Like, you can't, the NBA has been so fortunate to have LeBron. Like, I cannot emphasize this enough. We can have as many LeBron versus Jordan conversations as you want to. You mentioned he's been the face of the league for 20 years. Like, a guy who was on the cover of Sports Illustrated at 16. Sports Illustrated, by the way, kids, is a magazine. Magazines are a thing that used to come in the mail. But, he was on the cover of that at a 16-year-old and didn't disappoint. It's literally the all-time point scorer and has been, he literally made Space Jam 2. That's how palatable he is to pretty much everybody. It's hard to get that kind of a person again and again. I think it's going to have to be a mantle that is shared. But I also thought about this, too. The NFL doesn't really have a face of their league. You know
it's the shield.
You know what I mean? Patrick Mahomes, maybe you can say, but not for real. Everybody kind of gets their own shine. As you mentioned, it's the shield. The NBA, I think, has to do a better job of hyping up its own product for the product's sake, and maybe less about individuals. Because I think you can look around at LaMelo. I think could legitimately be a star. Team's not good enough. But, he's a guy who's been famous since he was 16 and is kind of just used to being famous. You'll see him on TV shows. You see him on podcasts, stuff like that. He's used to being famous. You have to want that sort of thing. And in today's society, do you really want that much scrutiny? Because, as great as Jordan was, he wouldn't have been people would not be as enamored with Jordan now if he came out because of all the other stuff that would eventually come out about whatever his personal life and all this other stuff. Those sorts of things, it makes it a lot tougher. LeBron's kind of the last of that dying breed of, hey, put me as the number one guy, crown me, the whole thing, and I can take that weight on my shoulders.
Yeah, you brought up so many good points. First, an apology, because you made me laugh in the hey kids, do you even know what a magazine is? For a number of reasons. One, you're acting like you're this old head and you're a young guy. And two, it did make me laugh because I was a kid who grew up with a subscription to Sports Illustrated and loved when the magazine came to me every week to see what was on the cover. I kept them. I probably had 8 years of Sports Illustrated's in my bedroom as a kid, and I read it cover to cover. But now you have to read SI online. Do they even have a print? Do they even have? I guess no, they do. There is a magazine.
Don't know if they have a print anymore.
There is a there's got to be a hard copy somewhere. Who knows if it's got any like articles in it anymore? They're all dated at this point. But it is interesting that LeBron had embraced all of what went with being the face of the league. And I'd said that a long time ago, that the NBA was lucky that LeBron was willing to do it, and he lived a life that, as far as we know, and at this point, how would we not know, that is exemplary both on and off the court. Now, the shots that people take at LeBron, I saw it one today. We're going to have to wrap this up here, but that when he missed both shots last night to tie the game, that ESPN put up the stat that in LA, LeBron is 1 for 29 in game-tying or go-ahead shot attempts in the last 5 seconds of the fourth quarter or overtime. So, I mean, I don't know why that really matters other than he just hasn't hit those shots. Maybe that's a slight on LeBron. I don't know, but
Sounds like he's due. That's what
and it didn't happen last night to the Hornets, who won the game in LA. That was the rearranged game. That was the one that was smoked out, right?
Because of the fires. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you much, man. Who you got tonight, USA or Canada?
Oh, I'm going Team USA, baby. Look forward to 51st State, baby. Let's go. That's what happens when we win, right?
That's right. I believe so. Yeah. It's like when in Greece when they raced for pinks you get my, if we beat you at Thunder Road, we get your car. If you win, you get my car. I think that's what it is.
Sports Illustrated, maybe Fast and Furious, not Greece. If we're updating stuff, Fast and Furious, leave it alive for a quarter mile at a time, baby.
You're the man. Brenden Whitted at HU Cosell on Twitter. Thanks, man. I'll talk to you later.
Absolutely, man.